The NASCAR Cup Series race at Kansas Speedway on Sunday was full of excitement, strategy, and unexpected events. Ross Chastain, a seventh-generation watermelon farmer and driver of the number 1 car for Trackhouse Racing, claimed his first victory of the season after a series of challenging races. He took the lead from Martin Truex Jr. on a crucial restart with just 20 laps to go and held off William Byron to cross the finish line first. The win was significant for Chastain, who had not won since last season's finale at Phoenix, where he also played the spoiler on the day the Cup Series champion was crowned. Chastain's victory was not only a big moment for him, but also for the playoff drivers who were all fighting for a spot in the next round. With just a few races left before the cutoff, every point counts, and a win would have guaranteed any driver an automatic berth into the next round of the playoffs. Chastain, however, is not a part of the playoffs this season, making his win a surprise to many. He narrowly missed qualifying for the playoffs.
For us on this one team, that's what Cup Racing's all about. It's what Justin Marks bought into Trackhouse with Pitbull to bought into NASCAR with Trackhouse to do stuff like this, to disrupt. And look, there's been times this year where we couldn't have disrupted the minnow pond outside of Darlington, let alone a Cup race. It's hard. It's really tough. So to win this today is remember that process I talked about at Nashville last year. We haven't left. We haven't went away. Nobody's slowed us down other than ourselves. And today we were the fastest car.
Chastain's crew chief, Phil Surgeon, who also shared his thoughts after the race, saying it's pretty deflating when you don't make the playoffs.
Oh, it's a kick. It's pretty deflating when you don't make the playoffs. And obviously we knew the last couple races of the regular season, we were right on that cut. And, I wouldn't have guessed that the 1, the 23, and the 17 all missed. But, yeah, it was pretty deflating. But, we rolled around to the next week, and I think we scored the second most points in the first round of the playoffs of anybody. So it just goes to show you that, there's no give up here. We're not laying down, and here's just more proof today.
William Byron, who finished second, had a solid race and was the best performer among the 12 playoff drivers still in contention. While the win would have guaranteed him a spot in the next round of the playoffs, his second-place finish was enough to move him to the top of the playoff point standings.
Damn it, I wanted that one really bad. It just sucks, man. You're so close, and going to Talladega, you know what that is. So just sucks, but, proud of the effort. Brought an awesome car. Proud of all my guys. They've been working their tails off. And
the Kansas race had its fair share of dramatic moments, starting with a series of wrecks that shuffled the running order and put many playoff drivers in tough spots. Carson Hocevar, who was running in the top 10 at the time, brought out the final caution of the day when he was involved in a wreck that sent his car into the wall. This set up the critical restart that allowed Chastain to take the lead from Truex. Truex had been leading comfortably at the time, but the caution bunched up the field and he lost the lead on the restart. Truex, who finished third, was disappointed after the race. This was likely his last race at Kansas Speedway, as the veteran driver has announced his retirement at the end of the season. Truex had been eliminated from the playoffs the previous week, so this race was more about pride and finishing his career on a high note. He had a great chance to win, but the timing of the caution and the decision to pick the top lane on the restart cost him the victory.
That last restart, obviously. 48 made me 3 wide there getting into 1 and killed my momentum. So, just part of me just not blocking good enough, I guess. And that was really the difference, I think, without that last caution. I think we could have held them off. Just, we needed the lead. We were a little too tight on restarts all day to run with a couple of those guys. And on the long run, we could get back to them. Like at the end, we were catching them again, just needed more time. So,
Ryan Blaney, the defending Cup Series champion, had a challenging race but managed to finish fourth, giving his playoff hopes a significant boost. Blaney had a loose left wheel during the final stage of the race, which forced him to pit under green and drop several positions. However, Blaney and his team fought back and managed to rally for a top 5 finish. His performance at Kansas put him in a much better position heading into the next race at Talladega, a track where he has historically performed well. Ty Gibbs, the rookie driver for Joe Gibbs Racing, had a strong run and finished 5th. This was a much-needed result for Gibbs, who has had an up-and-down season. Finishing in the top 5 at Kansas was a positive step forward for him and his team as they continue to build momentum heading into the latter part of the season. Several other playoff drivers had solid finishes at Kansas, including Alex Bowman, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, and Chase Elliott, who all finished in the top 10. Bowman finished 6th, while Bell, who started the race on the pole, recovered from a couple of scrapes with the wall to finish 7th. Hamlin, who had issues on pit road, managed to salvage an 8th place finish, and Elliott finished 9th after starting at the rear of the field due to an engine change. Elliott, who was still in the hunt for a playoff spot, was satisfied with his team's performance, but felt they could have done even better. One of the more dramatic moments of the race came when Kyle Busch, who has been struggling to find victory lane this season, looked like he might finally break his winless streak. Busch passed Chastain with 64 laps to go and appeared to be in a strong position to win. However, his day took a turn for the worse when he tried to get around Chase Briscoe, who was fighting to stay on the lead lap. Busch and Briscoe made contact, sending Busch into the wall and ending his chances of winning. Busch finished 19th, extending his winless streak to 51 races dating back to last season. After the race, Busch was clearly frustrated.
We hung underneath the one car there for 15 laps trying to pass him, finally passed him, and could get away from him a little bit, catch a lap car, would back up a little bit, and the gap just kind of kept doing that, and I guess I just got in too big a hurry. Just nothing. I mean, I'm numb. I don't know what to do.
Busch's struggles this season have been well documented, and this latest disappointment added to the frustration he's felt throughout the year. Kyle Larson, who won the previous week at Bristol, had perhaps the most challenging day of anyone. Larson's right rear tire went down just 18 laps into the race, sending him into the wall. While the damage to his car initially appeared minimal, his Hendrick Motorsports crew kept working on it throughout the race, but he was never able to recover. Larson finished 26th, a disappointing result for a driver who has been one of the favorites in the playoffs. Austin Cindric also had a tough day at Kansas. After dealing with a loose wheel at the end of Stage 1, Cindric found himself back in contention until his left rear tire went down near the end of Stage 2, sending him spinning down the backstretch. He finished 4 laps down and 34th.
I think it just shows how good our race car was today with the starting spot and the stage points and set back on pit road and how quickly we came back up through the field. So just, pretty unacceptable not to be able to capitalize on a day like that in the playoffs, and pretty frustrated.
The point standings heading into Talladega are as close as ever, with Byron leading the way by 6 points over Blaney and Bell. Larson is another 10 points back, while Joey Logano holds the 8th and final spot above the cutoff, 4 points ahead of Tyler Reddick and 14 points ahead of Daniel Suarez. Briscoe and Cindric are the other drivers in danger of being eliminated from the playoffs, with 2 races left before the next cutoff. One of the highlights of the Kansas race was the return of Carl Edwards, who drove the pace car at the track. Edwards, a Missouri native, has a special connection to Kansas Speedway, although he never won a Cup Series race there. He did win a Truck Series race at Kansas 20 years ago, and his appearance at the track brought back many fond memories for fans. Now, the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs continue next Sunday at Talladega, one of the most unpredictable tracks on the schedule. Blaney won last year's race at Talladega, narrowly beating Kevin Harvick to the finish line after a last-lap wreck that collected several drivers. This year's race is expected to be just as chaotic, as the drivers battle for precious playoff points and the opportunity to advance to the next round. Don't forget to comment down your thoughts on this, and while you're down there, remember to hit that subscribe button as well.